to another crash course in mathematics episode. So in this one we're going to do about times and dividing by 10, 100 and 1000. Once you know how to do that, then you can times and divide by up to whatever multiple of 10 you want to. So in this episode I'm going to address some key misconceptions about moving the decimal point, adding a zero. I'll show you exactly how to do it, and once you get the hang of it, it's really easy to do. So let's get started. So first of all, I want to address a misconception. Many people think that just by adding a zero, you are automatically going to get the right answer. So if you add a zero, take away a zero. So for example, if you have the number 25, if you were to times by 10, you'd add a zero. That is correct, you've now got 250. And if you had this number and you were dividing by 10, you'd take away a zero, which is still correct. However, if you were then to have 2.5 and you said, right, I'm going to times by 10, so I'm going to add a zero. Take a look at that number now. You still have 2.5, 0. So you aren't in fact multiplying by 10 at all, you're just adding a 0 on the end, so you'd end up with the wrong answer. This is why I'm going to show you a way that you'll make sure that you get the right answer and you fully understand what is meant by multiplying and dividing by 10, 100, 1000. So let's have a look at the place value grid. If you haven't already seen the place value video and you need some recap, just have a look back in the videos before you do this one. So if we have a look, we've got our decimal point there. We've got our ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, tenths and hundredths. If we have a number, so let us stick on that 2.5. Okay, so as you can see, you've got the 2 in the ones column and the 5 in the tenths column. If we're to multiply by 10, we are not moving the decimal point, because the decimal point is down this line. We are moving the number. The decimal point is in cement. You cannot move that. So if we're multiplying by 10, you need to move the whole number to the left. How many zeros is in the number? So if you've got 10, you're moving your number to the left once. If you're multiplying by 100, how many times do you think you're going to move it to the left? Brilliant, twice, because you've got 2 zeros. If you are multiplying by 1000, how many times are you going to move it to the left? Exactly 3 times. So let's first of all multiply by 10. We know we're moving it to the left 1 time, so you're moving the whole number to the left once. Can you see the decimal point hasn't moved? We haven't added a 0, we've moved the whole number. So we've gone from 2.5 to now 2 in the tens column, 5 in the ones column, so you've got 25. If we move it back to 2.5 and we're now timesing that number by 100, how many zeros have we got? 2, so you're moving your number to the left twice. So you go 1, 2. So you've got 2 in the hundreds column, 5 in the tens column, nothing in the ones column. Now remember, I said that our number system goes from 0 to 9, so we need to put a placeholder in there. So our placeholder is always 0. So you've gone from 2.5, you've times it by 100, and now you've got the answer 250. Look, decimal place still hasn't moved. Let's try a different number. We're going to have 3.53. Okay, first of all, we're going to times it by 10. How many zeros have we got? 1, so we need to move it to the, that's right, to the left once. Move the whole number that way, so you've now got 35.3. Now we're going to move that number back and times it by 1000. How many zeros have we got? 1, 2, 3. So how many times are we going to move it to the left? 3 times. Fantastic. So we go 1, 2, 3. So we've got a 3 in the thousands column, 5 in the hundreds column, 3 in the tens column. What do we need to put here? Fantastic, a 0. So we've got 3,530. You might have a question that says, what is the value of the 5? All you do is have a look, which column is the 5's in? It's 100, so it's got the value of 500. If it said, what is the value of the digit 3 in this one? Well, you've got 2 options. So in this one, the 3 is in the thousands column, so that would be 3,000. This one, your 3 is in the tens column, so it would be 30. Let's have a look at this number now. We've got 35. What have I missed? Fantastic. We need to have our placeholder here. So, this is 350. We're going to put 350 and divide it by 10. So, if we were timesing by 10, we were going to the left. Dividing by 10, that's the inverse, so you're doing the opposite. So instead of moving upwards and the number getting bigger, the number is going to get smaller. If ever you are dividing an original number by anything, your answer should always be smaller. That's a quick way to check if you've done your working out right. So we've got 350, we're dividing by 10. So we're moving it to the right. How many zeros? 1, so we're moving it to the right once. There we go. So now we've got 3 in the tens column, so that's 30, 5 in the ones column, so that's 5. You've got your decimal point here, and then 0. So your answer would be 35.0 or 35. If we take it back again, and we are going to divide by 100. Now how many zeros have we got? 2. So we need to move it once, twice. Notice I'm not putting zeros here. You could and your answer would still be right, but it's unnecessary. Your 3 is your biggest number. So you've got your 3 in your ones column, so you've got 3 there, your decimal point there, so you've got 3.50, so it's 3.5. Now I realise that you won't have a piece of laminate or anything like that when you're doing your tests at school and stuff like that. So if ever you have a question like this and it's times by 10, divide by 10, remember, don't add or take away a 0. Draw out your place value grid first if you're struggling to sort of get the concept. Write out your number, so if it's 2.5, if the question is to times it by 100, you know you need to move this whole number, so you need to keep the number together that way. How many times do we move it to the left? We'll have a look at how many zeros. Twice. So we move that 2 once, twice, and we write it there. Now remember, we need to keep our number together, but just for sake of argument, we've got our 5, we move it twice. 1, 2. What do we need to put here? Brilliant. Our placeholder, our 0. So you've got your answer, 250. Can you see how much easier it is to work out once you know your place value system? Okay, so I've put 4 numbers on my board. I've got 39.2, 42, 3 and 20. For each number, I want you to work out what times by 10 would be and divide by 100 would be, okay? So for each number, work out what times by 10 is, and then work out what divide by 100 is, still using this original number. And then we'll go over the answers in a minute. Okay, so you can see I've quickly drawn out a place value grid. Let's start off with this big number here. So our original number is 39.2. Remember, we're not moving the decimal point, we're moving the number. So first of all, let's times it by 10. So if we're timesing by 10, we've got 1 0, so we need to move it to the left once. So we move our 3 over here, our 9 over here, our 2 over here. Your decimal point is there, so you've got your answer, 392. Now let's have a look at if we are dividing by 100. So we've got our original number. 100 has 2 zeros, so we need to move it to the right twice. So we move this one once, twice, this one, once, twice, this one, once, twice. What do we need here? We need a place value, our placeholder. So we've got a 0, so 0.392. Let's have a look at the next one. We've got 42. Times in by 10, we're moving it that way once. So we should have 420. And dividing by 100, we're moving it that way twice. So we've got once, twice, and a 0 there. So it's got 0.42. Okay, let's have a look at 20. Times in by 10, we're moving it this way once, so we've got 200. And dividing it by 10, we're moving it that way. So dividing by 100, we're moving it that way twice. So we got 1, 2, so you should have 0.2. And finally, we've got, just redraw my table. We've got 3, so we put our 3 in the ones column. Times it by 10, we're moving it this way once. So we've got 30. And to divide it by 100, we're moving it that way twice. So we go 1, 2. So it's 0.03.